Hey, so we're still here in Negros. By the time this vlog is out, we'll be back in Manila. I mean, God willing. I hope this is okay. I'm seated on the floor, looking for a wall to shield the mic from the wind. Yeah. Okay naman, no? So this is the love life question and answer for Joe and Carla's, mine and Carla, my wife. Yeah, a number of people sent in questions for us specifically, so I decided to try to answer them. There's a lot, so I've tried to organize them and just go through it. I want to say a couple of things before we do this. Number one, none of this is prescriptive, or very little of this is prescriptive. What I mean is, this is not a vlog that you're supposed to listen to and be like, that's the way my story should be. That's the way God will do it with me. Not necessarily. There's so much variety, and I hope that you walk in Christian community in your local church with people you don't just attend a service with, but you actually, do life with. You know them, you know their stories, and when you do that, you'll see that everyone's story is different. God moves in different ways, and sometimes one of the most hurtful things we can do to ourselves or to other people is to take one story and make it prescriptive for everybody. Oh, this is the way it happened to our past. This is the way it happened to that online personality. That's the way it should happen with me. Not necessarily. God's got a story for you, don't worry. Secondly, if you've been watching this vlog at all, you'll see that my big emphasis is always about, knowing that Jesus loves you and having a relationship with Him. It's gonna come out, but before we get even further, more than the kilig of a love story, if anybody's love story, kung kiligin man kayo, it's to know that Jesus loves you and He cares for you, right? And that's what made all of this possible. With that being said, let's get to the questions. How did you stay firm, being single and obedient until you met the right person from God, your wife? In some ways I didn't. While I never had sex before marriage, I had my own insecurities, girls I would flirt with, or who I enjoyed the attention they would pay me because of my own insecurity. I needed something from that, and that's not a very loving attitude to take. I apologized to a number of them. So there was that in my life. The physical part, yeah, I just didn't want to screw up my life or another person's life. I'm not saying that if you've had sexual sin that way that you're screwed up. No, God restores things, And also what helped for me was to know that God has His best for me, that I'm not missing out. It felt that way, and I would question, am I missing out? But to believe that, no, God, I'm not gonna miss out on what you have for me, right? If having a love life is for me, then you know what will happen, and I'm just gonna trust you. Here was a common question. Here's two versions of it. Before meeting one another, did you have the classic negotiables and non-negotiables list, and was it useful? Did you have negotiables and non-negotiables before you met her? Did it change upon meeting her? You know what? I had a very short one. I heard that teaching when I was in church. It was relatively new when I was a teenager, and I kept a short one. Like, loves God, loves me, I love her. That's it. That's it. Yeah, I didn't really do the non-negotiables thing very strongly. Am I correct to assume that she was the first girl you courted seriously? No NGSB, no girlfriend since birth before meeting her? No, there was one other girl who I was really specific with and really straightforward with. I liked her for a long time. I liked her on and off for years, and I really thought she was the one. And so we started going out, and it just didn't work out. There was no major hurt on either part. It just didn't make sense to keep going. And that was honestly one of the most confusing things for me, because it was like, I thought she was the one, it didn't work out, and then it wasn't painful. It was like, oh, paano na? I really had no clue at that point. I felt so confused about the rest of my love life at that point. Which leads me to the next question. What was one of the most memorable moments or prayers that led you to each other? And at that time, when that relationship ended, we never even got to kame. Alam mo yun, it was more like, let's hang out for a few times. We seem to really like each other. Oh, there's so much chemistry there. Oh, it's gone. I think we're better as friends. Like that quick, less than 3 months. And at that point, I just began to pray, and I said, God, that was my best attempt at writing my love story. I do not know anymore. That was it. I thought this was it. If it was up to me, this would be the screenplay, and that would work. And I really remember praying, God, bahala ka na. You write it. And if you don't have anything, I don't care. That was my attempt, and it didn't go anywhere, so bahala ka na with what you're gonna do. And funnily enough, that's around the time I met Carla. What's cool is we're actually friends with her and her husband now, and great couple. Really happy for them, and they're happy for us. So it's amazing how God works things out. Hey, that's not prescriptive either, okay? You don't need to stay friends with people you used to pursue, be in a relationship with. If it happens, it's great. If not, it's not a must. Alright, moving on. Let's go to the deciding to date her stage. How did you notice her? How do you not? Right? No, okay, I get it. It was at a church event. First of all, she's a celebrity, okay? So those of you who don't know that, she was famous. Like, I grew up watching some of her shows on TV, specifically Ang TV. So people from my generation, we would watch that, you know? And see, now, because you have streaming, and because you have YouTube and Netflix and whatever else you're watching, you can watch whatever you want on demand. Back then, with very few TV channels, what you were watching was probably what all of your friends were watching as well. In fact, total strangers would watch that. You could go to the Sari Sari store and strike up a conversation with a total stranger about what you saw the night before because they were probably watching the same thing. So yeah, I knew her from that. But there was this one church service, a youth service actually, in Victory Ortigas, where I was based before. And some of her celebrity friends invited her. She's documented this in her channel, so you can see it there. And I did the altar call, like the prayer for anyone who wants to put their faith in Jesus, and she raised her hand. Yeah, and that's when I noticed her. Like, oh my, that's Rica Perelejo in church, wanting to put her faith in Jesus. And it wasn't love at first sight. No, it was judgment at first sight. I very arrogantly and self-righteously looked at her doing that and thought to myself, my gosh, these celebrities raising their hands as if ganyan-ganyan lang. Ugly attitude. I actually shared that in a number of church messages about being judgmental. So there's a link in the description, maybe a screenshot. Here.
Verse 1, judge
or
not
here.
that you be not judged.
Yeah, so that's how I noticed her. So yeah, I didn't really try to talk to her then. I didn't know if she was serious. And I arrogantly considered myself it's up to me to decide that. But clearly her life had changed and we began to see each other through common friends. I would go to a party of a friend and she would be there and be like, hey, there's that girl who I know from TV and I saw on a church that one time. And wow, looks like her life's going in a different direction. And then we really got close online. So there was a social media network called Multiply. And this social media network let you see who checked out your profile last. And she must have seen that I was viewing her profile a lot. I just loved her thoughts, the way she would write, her insights, her honesty, her skill. I mean, until now, I'm a fan. I love those like long Instagram posts she makes where she's basically blogging on Instagram. I wish she had more time to write, I love when she does. So that's when I began to notice her and really think like, I like talking to this girl. I really enjoy talking to her. What were the main character traits that you really look for in a woman and how does Miss Rica represent that? Really, what caught my eye or my attention at first was yung magka-vibes kami. Like I felt like she was someone I could be myself with. That's what I looked for. And which actually leads to the next part. How did the process of deciding to pursue Carla go? I think what really clicked for the two of us was we both have public personas. Right, so she's a celebrity and I'm in ministry and we're just used to having a public face and people like that, and you probably get that now because everyone's got a public persona with social media, but people like that value the people they can have a private face with, like I can just be myself with you, and that's how we were. Like, it felt weird to think that, okay, does this child actress get me? Why am I talking to her so much? Why do I look forward to talking to her? Why can't I wait till she posts something? Why am I checking to see if she's online in Yahoo Messenger? Yeah, so that's where we started to get magka-developan. Someone said your perspective, side of the love story, what caught your attention, everything else about how it started. So yeah, so we would see each other on social networks and talk. We would go to common parties. And this is not every week, not even every month. It would be like 3 or 4 months apart. Then we would see each other again. And then the connection we felt online would be there offline as well. And so we would chat, we would reply to each other's posts a lot. And one major milestone was when we exchanged instant messaging data on Yahoo Messenger. I think we both could feel the connection was there. And so we were concerned that if we start instant messaging, basically chatting now, if we start instant messaging, wala na, tuloy-tuloy na to. And that's what happened. We kind of delayed it for a long time. But when we exchanged info, it was like, man, I would chat with her till midnight, way past midnight. And it was surprising, like, man, I'm talking to Rica Perelejo, but I feel like I know the person behind the screen. If Miss Carla had never become a Christian, would you still love or even notice her? Probably not. probably not. I just didn't want, I mean, notice for sure. I mean, how do you not notice her, right? She's gorgeous. But to consider her as someone to pursue a relationship with, probably not. I know I have too many issues and marriage is too difficult to do this without Jesus. Yeah, so as I began to like her and talk to her more and more, I had to be honest to myself. Like, I think I like this girl. I remember telling a few friends and even going like, hey, am I crazy? Am I crazy? I think I like Rica Parejo. Am I nuts? Am I nuts? And yeah. And that's one advantage I think of online now. Because there's so much of the person online, right? On Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, that you can kind of stalk them. So I really back-read everything of hers. Everything on Twitter, everything on Facebook, everything on Multiply, Friendster. Just to be like, who is this girl? And, you know, how can I get to know? I don't think she had a Friendster pala. I don't remember. Or baka wala nang Friendster na. Yeah, and so all of that online stuff allowed me to check her out and be like, do I like what I see? Right? Almost like if you're gonna start a business, you'll do a feasibility study, you know, SWOT analysis and all that. I did that. Like, okay, I think I like her. If I'm gonna pursue her, I better be clear, right? Like, I don't just find her attractive physically, but I wanna be with the person. Alright, let's go to the dating part. Asking her out, pursuing her, first moves. How did you pursue Miss Carla po? Yeah, see, here's the other non-prescriptive part. I don't have game. I don't have like the, you know, the Pickup Academy type stuff. I don't have a killer opening line on Instant Messenger. I told you in the vlog about music and lyrics how I had a fail opening chat with her. Oh gosh, I had a super cringe attempt to date her, but I was too scared to date her, just the two of us. So I invited friends who didn't know her and who didn't know each other. It was like the worst. Afterwards, one of my friends went up to me and said, if you really want to get to know a girl, just talk to her and please leave me out of it. I can't forget she said that. I was just so bad. I was just so awkward. So yeah, don't ask me that question, okay? And don't learn from me. Pastor, how did you court Miss Carla? Needed po tips paano manliligaw in a way that glorifies God. Yeah, like I said, I don't have game. I didn't know what I was doing. But here's what I did have. Alright, here's what I did have, and maybe this is all you'll have, and hopefully it's enough. I realized that I want to know her, and I think I know her from our online talks, and I celebrate her. In fact, to me, it was like, you know what? You know, I've compared her to Dennis Rodman in my Strong Wife vlog. Let me compare it to another non-flattering thing. I felt like she was a stock. You know, like the stock market, you know, like stock prices drop, and I feel like people did not know. I felt like people were sleeping on this stock. I felt like, yeah, you just see her because she's pretty. You just see her because she's talented. You just see her because she's famous. There is so much more there that I can see. Wisdom, insight, strength, gracefulness. Gonna be an amazing mom. Like, I could just see all of that, and I was like, I better get in while I can. So that's all I felt I had, you know? Like, I think I know you, and I want to pursue you, and I want to celebrate that about you. And yeah, so that's all I had. Effort, mega effort. One of my favorite songs at that time was that song, Suntok sa Buwan. Basically, in English, it was like you were a shot at the moon, you know? It was so impossible to be with you, but I'm gonna give it my best effort. I remember one time, like, I didn't have moves, okay? I didn't have any moves, and I'm such a nerd. So it's like, gosh, what could I possibly have that she could possibly connect with? And I didn't know that she loved reading, and it's like, oh my gosh, she loves to read, and so we super connected. And then one day, she told me that she had a professor in school, in Ateneo, who I had as well, who was one of my professors, my favorite professor, Joe Ed Tirol. Those of you who had him in college know he's an amazing professor. I would love to teach a class like him one day, you know, in college. Yeah, so she told me she had Joe Ed Tirol, and she was like, yeah, I'm looking for books for my research project. And, you know, massive crush on her, wanting to do as much as I can for her, super nerd, perfect storm. I was like, I'll help you. I've got history books. Actually, I've got history books that he might enjoy. And she was like, oh, great, yeah, pahiram. She went like that. And I'm like, okay, sure, I'll lend it to you. And she goes, yeah, well, anyway, I gotta go. I have a debut. I have an event in Wak Wak Country Club to go to. And of course, my love crazy mind was like, she wants me to meet her at the event. And so I got dressed at like 8:30 at night, you know, and I didn't know it was a formal event. I should have, you know, yeah, a debut is a formal event. But I didn't take a bath. I just put on pants. I wore this super old sweater I'd had for over 10 years, and I drove to the event. And I waited outside the event venue just beside my Tamarao FX with 2 paper bags full of history. history books. And then she came outside and everybody was dressed in like gowns and tuxedos and coats. And I was so out of place. And she was like, what are you doing here? And she was in shock. If I was less in love, I probably would have gotten awkward. But no, I was just like, it's her. And she was like, come into my van. And her driver pulled up in a van and I got in the van with her. And I explained what books I had and gave it to her. And all I could think about was, it's her. And it's just us and we're talking. Yeah. So those were my moves, alright? Very obvious, very blatant, not artful at all. One thing I didn't want to do is I didn't want to keep her guessing. When I was decided that I wanted to be with her, I wanted to be with her. You know, I didn't want to like make her guess, like sometimes pay attention, sometimes no. So yun nga, no game eh, diba? My only game is I want to be with you, okay? If you tell me to slow down, I will, but only because I really want to be with you and I don't want you to tell me to never do it again. Yeah, what was your legal courtship stage like? Yeah, so for guys, I want to say like, maybe this is my prescription for guys. If you're gonna go for a girl, go for her na. And if you're gonna fail, fail. Fail spectacularly. That's what I was resolved to do. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go for her. And if I'm embarrassed, if it goes out like, who in the world do you think you are? Icarus trying to fly the heavens, go for that celebrity. Well, then it'll be a great skydiving experience. But I didn't want to hedge my bets. I didn't want to play it safe. I guess that's how I knew that baka siya na nga talaga kasi she's the only one who got that response from me. Yeah. If you're gonna fail well. It's fine. You'll grow a new heart. Sorry. I would like to ask how long was the courtship stage with Ate Carla? Curious lang po. Yeah, I don't know. People have stages, right? They're like courting, then sila na, and then what? We kind of skipped through a few of those things. Paano po ninyo sinabi you were about to court her? How did you lay down your intentions to her? How did you ask her out? Alright, all kind of the same question. What happened was we were chatting a lot, right? And really starting to like each other. And I think she, I know now that she really liked me as well. And if you go back to the video about music, there's that story, right? From the One Fine Day song where she was like really into me. And, but we were both wary because we could feel the strong emotions. But we were like, not knowing that we were doing this independently, let's make the right decision, diba? Wag puro emotion lang. But let's decide well, like, is this something God really calls us to do? And so we were very resolved that as much as we could feel our emotions attracting to one another, we were trying to like put the brakes as much as we could. And for me, what I was trying to decide was, do I want to pursue her and see if it goes to marriage, right? I'm not saying automatically I'm gonna marry her, but if all goes well, am I ready for it to go there? And so that was the feasibility study nga. And when I checked, got advice from people, and I finally made that decision to do it, it was like over a year of chatting, of talking, of will they, won't they, of people shipping us and us denying it. It was a year, or more than a year of that. And so finally, I was decided I'm gonna pursue her. I don't know what's gonna happen. God help me. We who are about to die, salute you. All of those really terrifying take the jump resolutions. Yeah, after getting some advice from people and considering so long, I told her I started to see her like at all times na lang, like be everywhere she was. So that's my pickup style. I'm Thanos. I am inevitable. I'm gonna be at church. I'm gonna be at your school. I'm gonna be, okay, that's kind of stalkerish, but I did that, okay? And after a few weeks of that, I decided to tell her, like, hey, I'm doing this because I want to be with you. So we were talking about that history paper nga. Oh my gosh, I love it. It was through a history paper. And I said, hey, yeah, if you're gonna work in Katipunan, I can work in the area. And if you want, we can talk about your history paper. And she was like, okay. Like, how obvious is that? If you want, we can talk about your history paper. And so we were there. We were in Chocolate in Katipunan. That's why that restaurant is very memorable to us. And then I said, hey, is your driver there to take you home? And she said, yeah. And I said, why not send him home? And she was like, what? I said, yeah, I can drop you off. And she goes, are you going in the area of Commonwealth? And I was like, yeah, I guess. I wanted to ask you something rin. So she sent her driver home. We worked for a few more hours in Chocolate. Very awkward, very quiet, a few hours. We get in the car, and I tried to tell her while we were in the car, and I felt like I was having a seizure and an asthma attack at the same time. I was so nervous. We almost got into an accident. Guys, maybe that's another suggestion, not prescription, but try not to do it while driving because you might be a road hazard. Yeah. But I told her, I like you. I want to see where this is going. If more than friends, if even into marriage, and I would love that. If not, then, you know, that's fine. But I really want to try and see and make it work. And she was so quiet. And my heart was pounding. My head was like, ah! And she finally said, okay. And I said, okay. Is that it? You're going to say? And she said, okay. And I said, can I ask for a little bit more than that? And she goes, yeah, okay, you can pursue me. Ah! I was so happy. There. So, yeah, we began to go out. We began to date. Was there ever a point you got jealous? And if so, how did you manage to handle it? Emasculated by her earnings. How did God deal with that issue? Was there a moment you knew she's the one? Tell us about it, po. Pastor, how did you know that she's your God's best?